Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. We have a new developer interview for you for Street Fighter 6. So this was handled by Inside Games Japan and interviewing the head honchos, if you will, of Street Fighter 6, Shuhei Matsumoto and Takayuki Nakayama, and they were talking specifically about the future of Street Fighter 6. Now, if you want to check out the interview in full, I'll put a link to it in the video description, although fair warning, it's all in Japanese, and there is some topics that we've covered before, but there is some very interesting specific tidbits about the future of Street Fighter 6 that I would like to cover. So, one of the topics in the interview was how relatively easy it is to hit Master Rank, which is currently the highest rank in Street Fighter 6, compared to reaching the highest ranks in Street Fighter 5, and wondering, is there going to be any kind of league point reset that'll reset everyone's ranks back to the beginning? And no, nothing like that is currently planned. More and more people are hitting Master Rank every day, and it's here to stay. So if for whatever reason you were holding off on the grind to get that rank up, you might as well go for it. There is no rank reset. Now, that said, apparently there's plans for a special Master Rank League in the future. So details are a little sparse, but maybe something like, in Guilty Gear Strive, when you reach Celestial status, then you have higher levels and you can earn bonuses, all that kind of stuff. Apparently this Master League will take shape in form of acts, and you can also bet or place wagers in the Master League. Details are sparse, but there is a plan for the absolute highest ranks to have something to go for once they have reached Master Rank. Now, one of the things in the interview that was mentioned was balance patches. I know we all obsess over balance patches. So their plan currently, because I feel this will be very subject to change, is they're aiming for one major balance patch a year. And specifically, it'll be like sometime after the Capcom Cup. So they say they're very open to patching out glitches, bugs, unintended features, as we've already had some of that happen, like the throw tech input delay nonsense we had to deal with not too long ago, which has been curtailed and will be fully patched out hopefully soon enough. The developers state that it's not good for a competitive game to be overbalanced, which I absolutely agree. However, once a year I feel is not something they're going to be able to stick to. Assuming the first Street Fighter 6 Capcom Cup happens roughly the time it happened for this year, which would be around February, I don't see this game going without a major balance patch until February of next year. Could be wrong, but we're already seeing some issues taking place. Some mechanics, like say, raw drive rush, certainly over-abused for certain characters. And the tiers are starting to solidify a little bit. Still some, changing around every now and then. But there's definitely some characters that are just not as good or anywhere near as viable as some of the top tiers. So one major balance patch a year, noble goal. If they stick to it, they stick to it. But I feel like we can probably use at least a minor tune-up before the next Capcom Cup. Another quick note about the balance of the game. The one thing they did mention in the interview is they have their own battle testers, naturally enough, right? And they play hundreds of battles a day. And while they very much weigh in the user experience, they do feel they are waiting for the users to catch up in a way to the rest of them. As they mentioned specifically JP and Honda, two very villainous characters that get complained about quite a bit. They've noticed through their own internal stat track and all that kind of stuff that their win rates are steadily declining over time. So people are figuring out the matchups and they're falling to the gimmicks less and less and less. And so these characters are falling out of favor a little bit in overall matchups. So they feel the developers and the player base as a whole sometimes have different ideas at looking at the game, and it does take time to settle that out and just figure everything out. Now, they also mentioned modern controls in the interview. I'm not going to rehash the same things that you've heard a million times from a million sources, but the one very interesting data point they have is apparently the usage of modern controls is rising, not going down as people get better and switch to quote-unquote the real version of the game. Modern control usage is now going up. They didn't provide the exact numbers and percentages, but the fact that it's going up over time instead of going down over time is very telling that a lot of people think modern controls is the real deal. Like I myself, when I did my deep dive into modern controls overall and all the characters, modern Luke is kinda good, y'all. He gets a lot of advantages and basically very little of the downsides associated with modern. And you add that up with, I think it's very fair to say that Luke is one of the better characters in the game. It's a pretty strong combination. So perhaps the modern revolution that we wondered about is still in the cards for the future. And that's about it for the main questions of the interview. There is a few other things. Once again, you can check it out in the video description. They're very happy with the sales of Street Fighter 6, and of course, naturally, I think very fair enough on that. It's currently crushing the sales of Street Fighter 5 within the same comparison of time frames. And also, when it comes to Street Fighter doing crossovers with other IPs, don't worry, there's going to be plenty more of that in a more mass media sense. So no, Capcom vs SNK 3 not confirmed, but expect more Street Fighter branded merchandising crossing over with all sorts of other products. And my friends, that is the news for today. So that makes that the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.
This is the love we can